welcome to the Utah Puck Report. It's your host, Jay Stevens. I'm really glad to be here with you. I just love talking about hockey, and we've got lots of opportunities to talk about hockey. And there are some major new developments going on in youth hockey, and it got a little confusing with all the verbiage. I'm like, man, only a lawyer would understand some of this stuff. But luckily, I know a lawyer who's deeply, deeply involved in Utah hockey. My friend George Chalos. George, thanks for being on the show, man.
Hey Jay, thanks for having me. It's always a great pleasure.
Um, you're just basically everywhere there's hockey in Utah, you're involved. Is that the best way to sum it up?
No, definitely not. I just do a small piece of it, but I love it. It's for me, it's a real passion, and it keeps me sane.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about hockey. Playing it keeps me sane. Coaching it took a little bit of that away from me, added a lot of the gray that you see in my mustache. Um, so you're involved with youth hockey here in what way?
So a couple different ways. I've served 2 terms as a board member in Park City, and then subsequent to that, I started the Wasatch Wild hockey program down in Provo. It's a USA Hockey recognized organization. Where in season number 2. At the moment, we're House Rec designation by USA Hockey standards, but the rules allow for us to apply for tier status after we demonstrate 3 years of good success and good behavior. I guess is the real the bottom line in the story.
Okay, so it's kind of like a tryout to go tier. Do you draw most of your kids from that part of the valley, from the Provo Orem area?
Yeah, I think Utah County is probably the biggest demographic of our players. But for me, it wasn't an area that I was particularly familiar with until I got involved down there. But I mean, here's what I knew. And there was a list of things that I knew, and then there's a longer list of things I didn't know. I knew that Peaks Arena is a Olympic quality facility, right? They've got 2 sheets of ice. They've got stands and seating capacity. They have a gym. They have turf. They have everything you possibly want, and they've got the rec center not too far away. So for like a holistic approach to making a hockey player, making an athlete, I thought it was dynamite, right? Then the second thing I knew about it was that it's absolutely gorgeous, right? Like, and you go down there and you drive from here, from Park City, you drive down through Provo Canyon. Like, wow, I didn't even know there's places on the planet were so beautiful like this, right? Especially coming up and down in the fall, really nice. And then I didn't know, but I quickly learned that there's a huge number of players whose addresses are in Utah County, but they're driving all over the place for hockey. And I think in part, there's always a percentage of people the grass is going to be greener somewhere else, right? You're always going to have that. But I think that the bigger percentage of the players that left the area to go elsewhere was because they didn't have a good offering, right? They didn't have a bad offering, but they weren't USA Hockey. They weren't properly structured, and it was sort of a bouncing ball. Do they have a junior team in the rink? Don't they have a junior team in the rink? Are they going to get enough kids? Are they going to have a coach? Who's going to volunteer to coach the team? They just didn't have that type of longevity for a even-handed structure. They had lots and lots of parents that were really passionate about it, but that passion comes and goes. When the kids are into it, they're into it. When the kids leave, they're out.
Yeah. I guess I was the same way. Once my son was out, I was out, but I was in it for a long time before that. Well, I guess I'm still kind of in it. I just don't coach anymore.
Yeah.
Um, Now with what you're doing and what you've seen with the changes with USA Hockey, to kind of summarize, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, but USA Hockey kind of came in and said, "Hey, we're going to clean this up as far as U15 and U17 travel or tier 1. We're going to clean it up so that there's a legitimate, I want to say vetted, maybe vetted is a good word, that they're going to look at organizations that have been around for a long time. They're going to look at it, and they're going to make them into this new development league, which is not part of the tier structure, but it's the clearest path. This is why I think it's confusing. It's not tier 1, it's not AAA, but it's clearly going to be the clearest path to advancement through the U.S. Developmental League, into Junior A, into college. It seems like if your kid is playing good hockey, tier one's no longer the goal. It's going to be this developmental league, but it says it's not going to affect tier one hockey. Does that sound like what the pitch is?
Well, look, they had the annual Congress in Nashville a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't present for the meetings, but I certainly was keeping up on it pretty closely, and I think I've gotten a tremendous amount of the information from super reliable sources. Actually, the weekend before uh, all the different contingents descended on Nashville, I was in New York at the New York State Amateur Hockey Association board meeting. I'm the junior director there, right? And so there was a clear path for what many of the affiliates wanted. And I think this National Development League is it's passed, right? But it's still an ambition because it's not going to start until 27, 28.
Right.
So you've
Oh,
got a
okay.
whole nother, yeah. So you've got a whole nother season coming up before we actually see what's going to happen. And what they wanted to do is create, they've already have the 15 only age classification. But I think there's a recognition that kids that are playing their second year of 18U, even in some of the best AAA organizations, they're often viewed as having missed the boat because they haven't been tendered, they haven't been drafted, they're not playing on a junior team. And so those guys often are overlooked, for rightly or wrongly, right? So they're adding a 17U division and they're restricting it to 32 teams nationally. And they are tier one. And the idea is, I think the ambition is to reward the organizations that have been committed to the American Development Model, the ADM programming, and they want to demonstrate that that's the right way to build hockey players, right? So I think there's a lot of motives that go into this, but the takeaway is 32 teams across the nation. 27, 28 is going to be year one, and it's going to focus on 15U and 17U.
Okay. Um, you said it is tier one. That's where I get lost. Is they said there's still going to be tier one, but it's not developmental league, and tier one will still have national championships. Development league will have their own championship.
Yeah, well, that's right. So I think it is confusing. So the way I understand it is that it will be tier one organizations, and they'll have to make an election. Do they want to be in the National Development League or play in their traditional tier one league?
Oh, okay, I see. And then as part of that, you also have to have a U15. You have to have the other parts of
Right.
those puzzles, right? Is it all the way down? Like, how far do they expect you to go? Do you know the answer to that? Like, how many
Yeah.
teams do you have to have?
Yeah, no, I don't think that they've come up with that level of specificity. I know that the focus is clearly on 15s and 17s.
And then
And
if you have a U15 or a U17 developmental league, you can't have a triple A. It's one or the other.
right.
Okay. And it sounds like they really are trying to clean up some of the, like you said, maybe catch some of the people that have been in the right system and then got overlooked, or are doing it right and then got overlooked, and then also maybe trying to clean up some of the organizations that are claiming to be, because it was talking about teams that said they were double A, triple A, and I know they tried to do away with that 5 years ago, and they tried to do away with it 10 years ago, where you had basically coaches or organizations misrepresenting what they actually were and maybe playing in a couple
Yeah.
tournaments that were AAA or Tier One.
Well, I mean, look, there's no prohibition, right? A house rec program, if accepted, can play tier one AAA teams, right? There's no prohibition on that by USA Hockey. I think what they're trying to do is tighten it up a bit in the sense that they want a bit more homogeny, right? They don't want games where there's 6-8 goal differentials. They want tight games. They want the kids. Again, at the USA Hockey ADM teaches once you get to that 15U, you're training to train, right? And you're learning how to compete. You're no longer learning how to cross over left and right and stop and start at the highest levels. It's the focus becomes the competition.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, I know this is a little bit off topic, but I just want parents to hear something. I have the privilege and I also have the responsibility to go to most of the Mammoth practices, and they set up. I'm not kidding you. They set up perfect ADM stations in the morning. So at least
Oh
a
yeah.
couple times a week, the Utah Mammoth are doing ADM model station skill based training. And I want every parent to hear that, because every time I coached, and like when I was coaching U16s and U17s, and even junior A, when I was coaching junior A, parents would lose their mind when they saw me set up skill sessions. And
Oh yeah.
when you talk about trying to develop the right way, I believed in those sessions. I believed in what the ADM was. I was seeing results with my players. But you always get those parents that are like, "What are you doing? That's a youth league thing."
Well, I'll go back one step further, Jay, just to amplify your point. I mean, I think there's a statistic out there. Well, it's maybe an urban legend, but apparently, I think it was 2 seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago, when the Tampa Bay Lightning were super hot and they were winning and everything. Uh, I don't think John Cooper ran but 4 practices full ice the whole year, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and I have a buddy that works down there, and he was telling me this story. But if you go back before the ADM was a thing, and I know this, I've been offered the assistant coaching job at Middlebury College back in 93, 94. And Bill Beanie was the head coach. Wes McKee was the assistant coach. And Bill Beanie was really the pioneer of all these small area games and station based practices. And he was, in large part, the drafter of the ADM stuff. And if you go back and look at the historical data from like mid 90s to almost 2000, Middlebury ripped off like 5 national championships at D3. So like there's something to this.
Yeah. I've always thought there was. It always surprised me. Well, I also had parents. I guess, and I'm not trying to badmouth parents, but I'd have parents that would come to my camps, and for goalie session in the morning, we wouldn't even have pucks, and I had a couple dads lose their minds that their goalies were just out there skating. How are they going to get better at stopping the puck if they're just skating? I'm like, that is how they get better. That is
Yeah,
how
of
they start.
course.
They have to be able to get to the puck to stop it. And then even just simple things like yoga. I have yoga. My whole household is a big yoga household. We have a yoga studio in our house. My wife goes 1 or 2 times a day. So I implemented yoga, which I believe is what's extended me into being able to play as long as I've played at goalie and at
Oh
the
yeah.
levels that I was able to play at. And I had dads losing their mind about yoga too, just like not seeing the whole picture of it and worrying that it was the wrong religion. I got accused of that one time too. But yeah, so to get back on traffic. Sorry, sometimes I go off on a tangent, but um, I
But
guess
Jay,
I have
your
PTSD from
point.
being a coach.
No, but your point's right, and this is like my 32nd year or something like that being involved. And I'll tell you, over the years, my view on parent knowledge, parent education, parent involvement has really evolved. Right? It's easy to say, "Oh, my dream would be to coach a team of orphans," right? Because that's a lot of coaches say that, um, right? But the reality is, I take a much more empathetic view now because people don't know what they don't know. And especially when you have parents coming through for the first time and they've got a kid that loves hockey, eats, drinks, and sleeps it, right? Shoots pucks in the driveway, is on the rollerblades after school, right? They don't really know how to build a hockey player. They just know that their kid's having fun, right? Or if they're not having fun, that's when like the snowplows come out, right? And that where it gets really crazy. But I think that the right approach is a much more collaborative approach. It should never be an us against them. It should be a, hey, let me show you how the sausage is made. Oh, yeah, I understand that the team is getting killed. And yeah, I understand you're spending a lot of money driving all around town to go to play these games and tournaments and what have you. But let's talk about like the actual demonstrable development that's happening, right? And when it's not happening, then you got to look at that too and make some course corrections.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, so back to these changes that are happening in USA hockey. And again, I think maybe we should tell people. So besides your Wasatch Wild, you're also involved with the University of Utah.
I am.
You're also involved with NH3 in Long Island, right?
I am.
And then you also have an NAHL team, which
I
is
do.
a lot of our goals to get our kids to those teams and to get them out of the. So I'm just giving your qualifications so that nobody throws emails at me when I ask you to explain what effect do you think these new changes could have on our organizations here in Utah. We only have one tier one program right here, right now. It's been here for years under various names: Chatters, Renegades, Regulators, West Coast. This and now I think they're Wasatch Renegades this year, right?
Yeah.
And that's in the youth organizations. That's our only tier one option at this point.
Yeah. So, look, I think, again, it goes back to education. And I think that there's nothing systemically wrong with what we've got going. There is a logistical problem because there's only one tier one in the state. So if you're going to go out and play, you've got to travel. And then to travel, it takes money. In order to take money, in order to pay that money that it takes to travel, mom and dad have to have a sufficient amount of disposable income that they're willing to dedicate to hockey. So I think one of the issues that we see is there are probably a number of players that would be well suited to compete at that level, but they just don't have the resources. And so I think that's an issue that probably needs to get looked at a little bit more. I don't know if for sure there's no easy answer, but I mean, there must be some sort of answer for that. Alternatively, right, there's an old lawyer joke that a lawyer moved into a small town and he was broke, couldn't get any cases, couldn't get any clients. The second lawyer moved into town and they kept suing each other, and soon and they became the two richest guys in the neighborhood, right? Um, I feel like, maybe at some point in time, as the numbers, the census of hockey players in the affiliate Utah Amateur Hockey Association keeps climbing, I feel like if they added a second organization, that takes some of the sting out of it.
Well, that's the goal, right? Like when I sat down with with Ryan Smith and with those, the goal was to build better hockey organizations, better, more ice, more players. And like Ryan Smith has said, he wants to make Utah the state of hockey. He wants to he wants to have the same level of hockey players that he has junior jazz basketball players. And
Oh
that's a
yeah,
lot. I think I can't I knew I should have known the number. I've been saying it for years, but it's a lot.
yeah,
And to get that, we need more ice. But to get that, we'd also need, and we've talked about the ideal situation would be you grow up playing house, you play at your rink, you make an all-star team. That all-star team plays the other all-star team from the other, hopefully 5, 6, 7 rinks that we have here. So at first your traveling expenses means when you're a little kid, you're traveling to Ogden for your all-star game. And then
right, right,
eventually we get an all-star team out of those. Say we have 7 rinks, we get 7 all-star teams to play against each other, and then we put together Team Utah out of those 7 all-star teams and make it like a legit tier one. And then, or maybe, make those travel teams have different organizations, kind of like Colorado has right now, where they've got several, but they have a lot more players than us. Although, what did we have, an 800% increase in youth hockey signups in the
yeah,
last 2 years?
tremendous, absolutely tremendous. Well, I don't remember if we did it on the air or we were just chit chatting, but I feel like way back in the pandemic days, you and I were visiting, and I had said something about making Utah the state of hockey, because our the availability, while it's become a little bit more constrained, we have a tremendous amount of ice. And the price for the ice is dirt cheap in comparison to other places. I was looking, we were looking to buy a sheet of ice down in Texas. It was $550 an hour, right? Midday, midweek ice.
Jeez.
I know what we pay in Long Island. Some of our game ice is over $600 an hour, and that's in a facility where over the last 2 or 3 seasons we've had at least 5 rainouts, and it's an indoor rink, right? The roof leaks. Yeah, it's been totally crazy. But no, we have a lot of good infrastructure, and I don't know Ryan Smith, and I, someday hopefully we'll get to cross paths and talk a little hockey, but I know he's done tremendously good things with the junior jazz basketball, and I see what they're doing with the Mammoth, like learn to play, continue to play. It's all NHL directed type of grassroots stuff, but they've got really good people doing it, and I think they're doing a spectacular job. And I do think if we can be patient and take a long term view, a 5 and 10 year plan, like we're gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think that's the goal, right? Is somewhere within the next 5 years to make that first real big step. In 5 years, that will have been 7 years of the NHL being in Utah. So you're looking at 10 and 11 or 12-year-olds that started playing at that point. That gives you
Yeah,
that long to have them, and we have much better coaching now than we did before. And that is a direct insult to myself because I always knew that there were better coaches than me. So I always brought anytime I made friends with somebody that I knew could teach, I roped them into working in my camps. In
oh
19
yeah,
years of my camp, I ran it maybe 3 times. Then after that, it was Jordan Parisi and Greg Lieb and Evan Stofflet and and Ryan Kanasowicz ran my camp for a long time. Like any chance I got to bring in better, like bigger and better people, I always did it so that we could have those results. And you're seeing it with Trevor Lewis and Daniel Brickley. And now I think that's going to multiply by 10, right? I
oh
think
yeah.
it's got to.
Nick Halloran, you can't have a conversation about the current pros without bringing Nick's name up. He's another guy that's been really successful playing pro over in Europe, and Josh Wesley. We've got a lot of guys.
Yeah, we do. And I can't believe I didn't say Halloran since I coached him when
Yeah.
he was little and he played with my son. Um, and then also we do have some other kids. And how much fun for you was that to watch my episode a few weeks ago with Colton McIntyre? How like that's one of your guys, right?
So I'll tell you what, we took a couple screen grabs and we like photoshopped in our logos on it and kept sending it to him and his mom.
Very nice, very
Yeah,
nice.
but no, that was really exciting. I think I can firmly say with great confidence that we're the only NA3HL team that's got a player that's moved on to be an NHL goaltender.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you might have to check because I have a feeling there's probably some other e-bugs because they cut guys like me out, guys that just are available and have gear and will be there all the time. I'm too old, and man, the
Yeah,
NHL definitely doesn't want me going in a game right now. Um,
yeah.
but so
Well,
getting back to it,
I'm super
how
proud of him, and I'm really happy for him. I can tell you, I think during the process when he was interviewing for the position, Corey Schwab's the goalie coach, right? I
yep,
mean, I'm sure you and he are friends. He rang up. We've got his son at the U. He's on our team at the University of Utah, and he said, "Hey, look, I'm looking at a couple guys. I'm not sure who I'm going to go with. I want to ask you. You've been identified as a reference for Colton." And I said, "Oh yeah, okay, that's really flattering." He asked a few questions, and I said, "Look, I mean, this is your guy. He's going to be super reliable, super dedicated. He works really hard on his craft, and I don't know if he's going to give Veggie a night off, but who knows? Maybe."
yeah, I think that it violates some of those salary cap rules that they're worried about.
Yeah,
Um, but getting back to how this is going to affect, and and maybe not even getting into the USA hockey part of it, but just there are changes coming to travel hockey in Utah, and you're involved in it. So, what if you're looking at an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old right now? What would you tell their parents that you expect over the next 3 to 5 years? Is there still going to be Grizzlies, Eagles, um, you know, Mustangs, and all these organizations, or do you see some other change coming? And does the USA Hockey change come to Utah? Do you think the Renegades get a developmental team? That's a lot of questions for.
yeah. Well, look, there's always ebbs and flows, right? And I think all the orgs that are currently in existence, they all do a good job, right? Some do some certain things better than others, but they all do a good job. I think where the big question mark lies is what happens at the Mammoth practice facility? Do they start their own house rec program, and is it a 3-year journey till they get a tier status? That's a lot of pulling power. It's a big magnetic pull for families that want their kids to wear the Mammoth logo on their shirt. So I think that's probably something that's coming down the pike, and it could be a disruptor, but yet it could be a really good thing. It all depends. One of the things that's not unique to Utah, in fact, I think Utah does it better than a lot of other places. Um, the the organizations that are in existence, uh, from what I've seen and what I've been involved with, seem to work really well together, right? But there's still a healthy level of competition. And I've been in other affiliates where the teams and the organizations don't collaborate like we do here. So I don't know. I mean, maybe at some point in time, maybe there's a little consolidation. If I was going to if I had a magic wand, which I don't, but if I had a magic wand, and if I had the tier one, again, I don't, but if I did have the tier one, I would be looking to vertically stratify and align. I would be looking to make deals with some of the other organizations where we're operating as one, where we go straight from house rec to tier two and then push up the funnel to tier one. And you know that I don't know how those strategic alliances would look, but I can tell you the dogs out at the Oval have a huge number of players, right? We've got 140 something down in Provo. I think Park City has maybe around 160, and I really don't know what they have up in Ogden, but I know they do a really spectacular job up there. They're lucky they got 2 sheets of ice that they get a prime relationship in that building, right? But yeah, again, we're just talking about sort of the Salt Lake city centric orgs. There's a lot of good hockey players that are outside of Salt Lake City. You go up to Cache Valley, you go out to Vernal, there's some pretty good hockey players out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vernal's got what Dave has been doing out there with the Oilers organization, Dave Amonte. He's got,
Yeah.
I mean, they're the national championship for their league. They're selling out every game. They've got a lot of youth involvement with that too. They've created a following out there as well. I mean, they threw a parade for them, and a lot of people came.
Oh
So
yeah.
they've definitely, and I think that would have been even without the Mammoth, but the Mammoth helped feed into that. And so you're just having an explosion of hockey. And in answer to your question, yes, I do know that there is going to be a junior Mammoth organization running out of that practice facility, and that there are other practice facilities that are going to be built that'll also have junior Mammoth. And the thing about that, and this is where you and I have kind of talked about this before, but this is where every league needs to get this deal, because the junior Mammoth, you sign up your money to pay $500 to play house league. That includes your gear, everything but
Yeah.
skates and sticks. And
Yeah.
then you just turn it in at the end of the year. They clean it, and then they put it back in a bag. And that's a deal. Like I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was trying to will Warrior into it because I love Warrior, and I worked for Warrior for a long time before they were Warrior, when we were Innovative and Eagle, and then Warrior came in and bought 2 of the companies I worked for. So I was trying to will that in, but no, it's a stronghold. Bauer is there. Bauer
Yeah.
is giving gear or at a discounted price so that every kid that signs up, and that's going to bring way more kids into it, because hockey gear is ridiculously expensive right now. And I just don't know. And if you listen to some of the other podcasts like Spit and Chicklets, they were talking about how they think that only rich kids can play hockey now. And that's why you're not seeing as much hitting, is because you don't have those blue collar farmers growing up that want to go do the work in the corner, or do the work in front of the net. So I think that's
Well,
one way to fix it. And maybe that gives them an advantage over the other organizations.
we see that. I mean, that's the thing, right? So I can tell you what we have in Long Island. We have a number of 3 tier 1 organizations, all within like a 12-mile radius. And then we have a bunch of tier 2 organizations. And when you get to sort of 14s, for sure, maybe they hang in there for a year or two, and you get to 16s, and then by 18s, and you know, the body contact starts checking, and then you still have a little bit of disparity in size and strength. And then we lose a lot of kids because they go, this hurts.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a hockey player. I think I want to go drill teeth. I'll be a dentist. Thank you very much. And it's how we lose them.
Nope. Yeah, and that's true, and I get that. And what it was like, your biggest cutoff was the biggest drop in attendance was the first year of contact, and then second to that, I think it was like 17 years old was your second biggest drop off, and that's just
Yeah.
because kids chase girls at that point, or boys chase girls, girls chase boys, or boys chase other boys, whatever it is. Like
Yeah.
the interest isn't hockey or sports anymore; it's social life
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. At that point in time, Jay, they get their permits, they get their licenses, they either have a car or get access to a car. They get a lot newfound freedom, and their wings are spreading, and maybe hockey doesn't have such a prominent role when mom and dad were driving them everywhere.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Um, so in your view right now, like, how do we get more kids into your organization? Because you already have, I think you're very unique in this area where you already have all the steps made. Like, you can get kids out of here and send them to Long Beach, which is in New York, not California.
Yeah.
And just want to make sure everybody knows that, because that sounds decent, right? Like, I'd love to go to Long Beach, California to play hockey.
Yeah.
But send them to Long Beach or to Long Island. Get them playing in your organization. Then they can play in your North American League team, which is the Oklahoma. Is it still in Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah, we're in Oklahoma City. The team's the Oklahoma Warriors, and we play just south of the city at a facility called the Blazers Ice Center, as a as
Oh
an
yeah,
old throwback to the Central Hockey League days.
yeah. I think DJ Yoleto played for the Oklahoma City Blazers back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, look, it's for me, one of the big dreams that I have is, and we've done it in part, to offer Utah players an opportunity to go play good junior hockey and get found for college opportunities. And we've had a steady stream of guys leave here and go to Long Beach, Long Island, and play in our 3HL program. And that team's run by Jeff Torrey. He played 1,300 pro games. He's got a tremendous pedigree. Played a year with the Canadian national team. Scholarship guy at UMaine, and he's like 1,000%, right? Any kid that wants to go to college, he finds a team for every year. Like, we've never missed on a kid. So, again, not all college hockey teams are the same. And, we only have a handful that are getting NCAA commits. But as far as ACHA hockey, like the University of Utah, that's some of those schools are really, really good. And we've been able to find a couple kids through like the SUNYAC schools, what would be functionally the equivalent of a scholarship, where we were able to find them a team that would want them, and then the school would be willing to put together a package of aid, so it costs them like nothing to go to school and play hockey.
Wow, because that's huge. And I know of other people that have turned down playing NCAA Division III because they could play ACHA Division One, which was basically equivalent. Go to a better school. Yeah, I'm going to say better school for less money, because you end up NCAA Division III is a lot of schools that you haven't really heard of. They're usually liberal arts schools, or
Yeah.
it's those schools that have all those teams, and yeah, or you could go to the University of Utah for 10 grand a year and have a first class education.
Oh yeah. So Coach Morgan Feeney, he's our head coach at the U. He's done a tremendous job bringing in guys, basically transfer students that play really high level NCAA hockey, but for whatever reason they're looking for a change of scenery, and they come here, and it's really elevated the programming.
Yeah, what you guys have done at the University of Utah has been phenomenal. I've really been hoping to see. Well, it's still pathetic that BYU doesn't have anything going. I bet they're kicking themselves right now on missing that boat and kicking their team out. Um, but I've been really hoping to see some other teams. Weber State seems like they're perfectly set to follow suit and go at least ACHA Division One, and I'd like to see them offer a women's program as well. I'm surprised that they haven't done it already. I know Kiyoshi's probably, like, the coach there is probably a little overwhelmed anyway with his responsibilities, but it'd be nice to see other universities step up. I think Utah State could do it just as easy.
Yeah.
Great programs. They've been around forever. I mean, I'm a product of Weber State and the U. I went to the University of Utah to get my EMT. I was there for a year and a half. Not to just get my EMT, but I was there for a year and a half. But these are great programs, and I think you're going to see more growth. And I think the stuff that you and AJ have done for the University of Utah should be a template for a lot of other teams on how to advance and set up like a legit program that seems to be ready to go NCAA.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big undertaking, right? AJ and his staff on the admin side do a tremendous amount of work, and it's like an iceberg. You only see the tip of it, right? There's so much below the surface you never get to see or hear about. I think a huge amount of the credit has to go to Morgan and Rob Feeney. We have uh, at the M1 level. At the M2 level, Nick Fornelius has done a tremendous job.
Yeah, I love
And
Forney.
yeah, and on the women's level, Hot Rod Rodney Stett's been there, and he's been there from the beginning, right? And he does a tremendous job, both as far as running the team's concerned, but also attracting high end players to come and play with us. The
Yeah.
women's team.
I mean, you guys got it all with a great Olympic facility on campus and being in the mountains and having a great program. And a great school. So yeah, it makes sense that everything's going well for you guys. Um, Before I let you go, anything else you think we should address and tell the public on what's going on right now?
Well, no, I don't think so. I'm a pretty boring guy. I just wake up, go to work, go to the rink, and go back home and go to sleep. That's pretty much it.
I don't know when you sleep with all the programs
Yeah.
you're running. Um,
No, look, we have a couple cool things coming up, right? And one thing that I'm particularly proud of, because I think it's in line with what everyone's trying to accomplish here. We're going to run out of Park City and as well as Provo Peaks this spring, a program that we're going to call it the Stanley Cubs. It's going to be 6U and 8U. And I've got a commitment from a number of the guys that are playing at the U now to come out there and do some station-based practicing. And I think the format's going to be sort of let the kids come out, have some fun, do a few station-based drills, and out of that hour, maybe 35, 40 minutes, and then just let them play. Let them play 20, 25 minutes, cross ice, whack the puck around, have some fun. Because I'm a huge believer that as long as the kids are having fun and they get off the ice with a sweaty head and a big smile, that's a win.
100%, 100%. The Stanley Cubs.
Yeah, and we're going to play for
Love
the
it.
Stanley Cone. I've been driving around. I've been going up and down I-80 to look for a big giant road cone. I'm going to get a can of spray paint and spray it silver, and that's going to be the Stanley Cone.
Oh, it sounds amazing. There's no shortage of those cones on Utah roads. I'll grab
Oh,
you 30 on the way to the watch party tonight.
I've been looking. I've been looking. I haven't found a good one yet.
You know what? I just it's funny because on my other life as a firefighter, I'm on a truck company that has a tiller that has a driver in the back, and every once in a while we squish one of those cones going through construction, and I make the guy in the back go back and autograph it. So if we
Oh,
squish one, I
jeez.
make him sign it. So maybe we'll bring you one of those. I'll have to talk to UDOT and see if we can get you some cones. But I love that idea. I love the name. I think it's fun. Like I love doing stuff with little kids and just getting them excited about hockey and just lighting that fire and letting them, because I think that's the best gift that I can give to anybody, and maybe you feel the same way. The best gift I can give to you is my love for hockey, and I hope that as a kid, like if I show you how to play it or get you on the ice in any way, or roller hockey or street hockey or whatever, if you just have that, because it's meant so much to me my entire life. It's
Yeah.
like it's a huge friend base for me. It's basically all of the successes I've had in my life is through hockey. I found my career as a firefighter. I found this podcast. I've had fun. I got my education. I met my wife. She was introduced to me from another hockey player. So if I could give
Yeah.
that to somebody, so I just love what you're doing. I think that's the best gift we can give is the gift of hockey.
I'll tell you, Jay, you know what the most rewarding thing for me is, right? And it has nothing to do with dollars and cents, it has nothing to do with wins and losses. In our youth hockey programming in Long Island, I've got a bunch of former players that came up through the system, went on to go to school and get jobs and get married and have kids, and they come back and they're coaching. We've got a single guy that played on our junior team from Omaha, Nebraska, and he came back to Long Island. He met a girl, right? The usual story. He came back to Long Island. He's coaching in our youth hockey program. Down in Provo, I hate to be like a name dropper, but when we do all our evaluations and tryouts, we have none of the coaches. I mean, they're part of the group, but we have independent evaluators. And I asked the guys from the U, hey, who's available to come help out? And I never have a shortage. 6 guys are willing to come. And a former player, Sammy Brickley, is a Utah kid, Danny's brother.
Yep.
He played for us in Long Beach. He's one of our coaches in Provo. And again, single guy, no kid involved, right? Just loves the sport. Ryan Worth played at the U. Single guy, right? No kids involved, loves the sport. He's coaching for us down in Provo. And then like we have other guys, Ethan Noonan, Joey Grelich, like Mike Ardis, he was the captain at the U. He's going to be involved with our Stanley Cup spring program. We have a tremendous amount of guys. And actually, for me, knowing that when I pick up the phone or send a text, say, hey guys, we got some hockey coming up, anybody interested? And then my phone starts lighting up with responses, positive responses. Man, that's so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I haven't gotten any of those texts from you for a while though about those skates. Been looking,
June.
waiting to get invited back to those skates up in PC.
Oh yeah,
Have you?
June. We start up in June.
All right, let's do it. Have you had an opportunity to play out of that new rink up in the Black Rock?
Yeah, so there's an old timers group, 50 plus. Give those guys a shout out. They skate on Monday nights. I've been out a couple of times with them. I keep telling them when I go in the locker room, where all these old guys come from, but I was fit squarely in the group.
Yeah.
And then we've had a few practices up there with our Wasatch Wild groups. It's beautiful. And I've
Oh,
actually
love
been
it.
out to a couple outlier games, and they do a really nice job for a fan experience. But man, that music's loud in that place. They blast it.
Oh boy. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm gonna hit a couple of those. I know I plan on doing an Outliers game here pretty soon. Glad to hear my old boy Chris Hagen that I've known
yeah,
since I was 12 years old on the radio at K Bear. He's doing voice work there, and I'm excited to see Park City Pioneers do their thing. And I'm excited about everything you guys have coming up. So we're at the point where they say people start turning us off if we don't end our podcast. They say my fan base has a attention span of about 35 minutes. So um,
great.
I sh- but George, I can't thank you enough for coming on and kind of explaining some stuff, and hopefully these things are all for the positive. And we'll check in with you again soon and see what else you got going on.
Jay, appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, and that is the Utah Puck Report.